The hum of the vending machine was the only sound in the security room, a dull drone that blended into the fluorescent flicker overhead. My badge read Jake, Night Watch, though most nights it felt more like glorified insomniac. I worked the graveyard shift in an industrial park outside the city, mostly patrolling empty warehouses and logging entries that no one ever read. Building 6 was my least favorite. Not haunted, not cursed, just off, half renovated, half forgotten. The upper floors were gutted for construction months ago, but the lower levels still had power. I hated how it smelled: concrete, dust, and metal. Dead air, no windows, no life. Still, I had a job to do. Rent doesn't care about feelings. At 2:17 a.m., I left the security booth with my flashlight, radio, and clipboard. The air outside was heavy, muggy, the kind that stuck to your skin. I walked through the chain-link gate and keyed into Building 6. The motion lights buzzed on, sluggish and flickering like they didn't want to wake up either. I started with the basement, since the elevator still worked. The metal doors groaned as they shut behind me, and the descent was slow, each floor number lighting up with a delayed, almost reluctant blink. When I stepped out, something immediately felt wrong. The air was colder, and I could hear a faint metallic dragging sound somewhere in the distance. I told myself it was probably loose piping or construction scrap shifting. Still, I radioed in, standard protocol. Unit 12 reporting. Checking lower level of Building 6. Minor noise detected. Continuing patrol. No response. Not static. Not interference. Just dead silence. I tapped the button again. Dispatch, do you copy? Still nothing. My stomach tightened, but I kept walking. The sound had stopped. I turned the corner of the hallway, where broken drywall and scattered cables littered the floor. My light caught something. Footprints in the dust. Fresh. Work boots. Not mine. I knelt to check. Deep impressions. Recent enough that they hadn't settled back into dust. A door up ahead, marked electrical, was slightly ajar. My heart was ticking a little faster now, but I pushed it open slowly. Nothing inside, just breakers and panels, humming away. But there was a second door inside the room. Steel, unlabeled, probably a sub-basement. It was wide open. I shouldn't have gone in. I know I shouldn't have, but I did. The staircase was steep and dimly lit by an old emergency bulb, swinging slightly as if someone had just brushed past. The air was thicker here. I was halfway down when my flashlight flickered, and I froze. Below me, I heard the sharp snap of movement. Not footsteps, not breathing, something brushing against concrete. I held my breath, and then, fast, too fast, something came rushing up the stairs. Not running, crawling. I turned and bolted. I don't remember reaching the top. Just the pounding in my chest and my boots thudding like drums. I slammed the steel door shut and locked it, backing into the wall. And then I heard the voice. Low. Controlled. You're not supposed to be down here. I spun around. A man in a gray hoodie stood in the electrical room. I hadn't heard him come in. He wasn't armed, but his eyes were wide, frantic, like a cornered animal. His hands were shaking slightly, flecked with dirt. I didn't see anything, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. He stepped forward. You saw too much. I bolted out of the room and ran up the hallway. I didn't look back. I could hear him chasing me, his breath ragged, shoes slapping against the concrete. He was fast. I hit the stairwell instead of waiting for the elevator and took the steps 2 at a time. My legs burned. My throat was raw. I reached the exit just as he grabbed the back of my shirt. I fell forward, hard, face first into the pavement outside. My vision blurred. My shoulder screamed, but I scrambled to my feet, adrenaline numbing everything else. The door slammed behind me, but didn't open again. Back in the booth, I hit the silent alarm and called the police. They didn't find him. What they did find was worse. The sub-basement didn't exist on any of the blueprints. It was hand-dug, recently. Tunnels, Makeshift rooms, crude bedding, and several missing persons flyers from nearby towns. Stacked, collected. They said whoever had been living down there had probably been watching me for weeks, learning my routes, my timing, waiting. I gave my 2 weeks the next morning. Sometimes I still wake up gasping for air, swearing I can hear footsteps behind me, and I don't know how long can I take it. The worst part about the night shift at a small grocery store isn't the silence. It's how that silence makes every little sound feel like it means something. A door creak, a dropped item, the hum of the freezers. It all starts to feel alive after midnight. I worked the graveyard shift at Martin's Market, a 24-hour store on the edge of town. The place sat between a shuttered gas station and a mechanic shop that hadn't opened in months. That week, my co-worker, Elena, was out sick, so I was alone. Manager didn't care, as long as the register kept ringing. The night started normally. A few night owls, a guy in a hoodie who kept his hands in his pockets the whole time, and a tired nurse buying instant noodles. By 1:30 a.m., the store was dead. I locked the front doors, not because I was supposed to, but because the emptiness outside started to get into my head. I did inventory to stay busy, walking the aisles with my clipboard, checking expiration dates and shelf levels. When I reached the back, near the frozen goods section, the temperature noticeably dropped. Not just freezer air, like something was wrong. I checked the big walk-in freezer. Its steel door was shut tight, the padlock hanging unlocked as usual. A small pile of boxes sat outside. Maybe delivery staff had been careless again. I crouched to move them, and that's when I saw it. A single work boot. Old, scuffed, and tucked halfway under the bottom shelf near the freezer. I pulled it out. Nothing inside, just some grime and a torn label. No one had reported a missing boot. I shrugged it off and tossed in the back. At around 2:10 a.m., while restocking chips, I thought I heard something behind the shelves, like cardboard dragging on the floor. When I turned the corner, there was nothing but stocked goods and clean tiles. Still, I felt it, like someone had just turned a corner ahead of me. I checked the cameras. They showed nothing strange. All 5 feeds, front entrance, aisles, back hallway, storage room, freezer entrance, were normal. I even waved at one to be sure it wasn't frozen, but the unease didn't go away. Around 3 a.m., I went to the break room. It shares a wall with the freezer. I made coffee, sat down, and tried to relax. That's when I heard a low thud. Not a knock, not a bang. A dull, heavy thud from behind the wall. I froze. Another thud, slightly softer, like something or someone shifting weight inside the freezer. I got up, heart racing, and walked to the steel door. I listened. Nothing. I opened it slowly. Cold air spilled out. Everything inside looked normal. Rows of frozen pizzas, vegetables, stacked boxes, and crates. But the smell wasn't right. Not the usual chemical cold. It smelled stale. I stepped in, using my phone's flashlight. That's when I saw the back panel. Loose. One of the metal panels lining the back wall had been unscrewed and tilted slightly outward. I approached slowly, each breath clouding in the air. I crouched, reached out to move the panel, and something lunged out. A man. I didn't get a clear look at his face, just the wild eyes and cracked lips as he barreled into me. I fell backward, hitting my head on a box corner. My vision blurred. He sprinted out, past the open door. I scrambled to my feet, dizzy, slipping on frost. By the time I got out, he was gone, vanished into the store somewhere. I grabbed the panic button behind the register and called 911, barely able to form words. Police came fast, thankfully. We reviewed the footage, and that's when the real horror hit me. He'd been living in the store, not the usual squatter sneaks and thing. No, this guy was methodical. He'd accessed the back of the walk-in freezer through the maintenance tunnel outside, an old vent no one even remembered existed. That's how he came and went, hiding behind the metal panel during the day and moving around the store at night when no one noticed. The camera in aisle 4 had caught him at 2:03 a.m., just barely visible, crouched low, moving between the shelves as I passed the next aisle over. He was watching me. For hours. He wasn't just hiding. He had zip ties, a box cutter, a rope belt. I know, he was waiting for the right moment. The blow to my head needed stitches, and I still get headaches from time to time. But I survived. Barely. They caught him a week later, trying to crawl into another store freezer across town. People always think the scariest things come from the dark, ghosts, demons, things that go bump in the night. But the worst horror I ever faced came from a man who learned how to stay completely still, completely silent, and wait for someone like me to stop paying attention. I don't work nights anymore. Not because I'm scared of the dark. I'm scared of what I missed in the light.